Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. It is your host, Cosmic Colleen. I know you've missed this voice for 2 weeks, so I'm coming back with you this week just for a small episode. Before we get back into our weekly astrology predictions, this is going to be an episode about the 5 awareness shots that I got while in Italy. This is my first time ever out of the country, ever out in Europe. I went super big with this vacation, if you've been following me, and I took away so much from it, so much about our country, myself, our world, what I view, life, and I want to share them with you. At the end of this episode, I'm going to talk about what we're going to start talking about with astrology next week and what's happening, and also what it was like to fly home with this Mars-Uranus conjunction, because it has not been an easy couple of days. It's definitely been sort of intense, and some other funny stories. I want to remind everyone to follow me on Cosmic Colleen across the board, 1C. I'm going to be focusing most of my videos now on TikTok and not really posting them so much on Instagram. I'll keep that more just for pictures and some other astrology stuff. But definitely, if you listen to my videos, my 1-minute shot videos, definitely go follow me on Instagram at Cosmic Colleen across the board. I really missed you guys. I hope you had a good 2 weeks. We had a lot of not too intensive transits. We had a few. We had that new moon, which was intense. Jupiter retrograde started. I'm going to be talking about that next week. So again, I hope we had a good time. So again, these are my awareness shots. I like to call them that. Where all of a sudden we come back and I had so much clarity. And yesterday morning after I slept, I had it was like 15 hours getting home and all of that. And then I had to get my kids and I woke up and I was just filled with writing and just thinking about everything that I gained from this trip. And that has been really amazing. So I want to start out with this. 1 and 2 kind of go together a little bit, and it's about this country. I am so grateful we live in America. I'm just going to say that. And no country is perfect, and every country has its bullshit. And just like our own souls, there's light and dark, and those polarities are always going to exist. And I love the saying, if you put everyone's problems into a bucket or whatever, you will always grab out your own. I do feel that way with myself, but I also felt that way with America. If you could put all of the country's issues in one bucket, I would certainly be pulling out America again and saying, okay, let me go back out to America, because we are very lucky and we have a lot of freedoms that a lot of other countries do not have, and that was even and luxuries, and that was even evident to me in Italy, this beautiful, amazing country. Don't get me wrong, I loved Italy. I think it's magical. I think it's amazing. I can't wait to travel the rest of the world and have these experiences. But like a good, almost like a water side, would say, I was happy. And by the end, I missed America. And I was like, wow, I really love living in our country. I do. I really, really do. In spite of, no matter what, these polarities of good and dark, or light and dark that exist in our country. So again, we have a lot of freedoms here. And I understand right now with women's rights, and I'm not getting political at all. I'm mostly apolitical for the most part. But we're not going to get into that. We, as women, have to fight back. And we have that freedom for what's happening that we can fight back. Other countries, even in some parts of Italy, women do not have that freedom to fight back. In this country, we have 50% of men on our side, 50%, we really do have that. In other countries, Italy, they do not have that, and women don't have those sort of freedoms. And when I went to Rome, Sorrento, Capri, and a little beach town called Gaeta. Rome was pretty liberal with a lot of stuff. There was definitely a lot of women working in the industry. Their number one industry is tourism. However, when we got more to the island parts, that was not true. And so we had a few tour guides, mostly men. And then we had the women. We had a couple women tour guides as well in Rome. But when we got to the smaller islands, the women were the part who picked us up and took us to a new place. And so when we went to Sorrento, to Capri, we got picked up by a woman. She got us on the ferry. She took care of our stuff. She got us to the hotel, because it's crazy checking into Capri. It is very crazy. It's not easy if you're staying on the island, I can tell you that. And as her and I were talking, she's been living on the island for 40 years. She's in her 40s, forever. And she said, you have no idea as a woman how hard it is to get a job. And it took her forever to get a job in the tourism industry. And the only part she's doing right now is not even doing the full tour. She's picking people up, like picking us up, getting us onto the island and getting us into her hotel. That is really her job. And she said she struggled to even find that job. And that in tourism in there, they give it to the men. They still very much believe that the women belong in the kitchen and the women belong with the kids. And we did not have one on Capri, and in Sorrento maybe once or twice we did. They were all male waiters, every single one, not a woman at all male waiters. And she said, it's frustrating. It's hard. She's like, again, I fought to get this job. And imagine that, right? Now we've come so far. And again, I know we are not perfect. So this isn't about an argument. I don't care. It's like, no. These are my experiences. It's much deeper than that. I get it. But I am saying to you, here, we have come a long way. And I know we still have farther to go. We've come a long way as far as job markets for females, as far as getting ourselves out there and really making our way, where here we are at the same, Italy's older than we are, and they still are struggling with that with women. And I just want to share with that. And I said, wow. And both sides, right? No matter what, we are a country. Every single country, Italy included, has good and bad. Both have to exist, just like our souls, just like the planets. And there were always going to be shifting between those balances as we build. There are always going to be arguments. There's always going to be different perceptions. There's always going to be fights, no matter what. If you're a president, 50% of people are going to hate you, and 50% of people are going to absolutely believe that, hate everything you say. However, I think, and I've realized that America is a very young country as far as building, like, quote unquote, for lack of a better word, an empire, right? Like a Roman Empire. We're quite new with all of that, which means there are going to be shifts. However, I think that one of America's karmas, especially as we enter now the Pluto return, signifying when we first made this, the United States of America, is finding balance and coming together a little bit more. Because everyone is so separated, both sides are just as equally separated, and no one's meeting in the middle anymore. And I think that is one of that. But again, I'm not going onto that tangent. I'm just grateful I live here and we have the freedoms we do. And we got toilet seats. There was no toilet seats on anything. And they don't believe in AC the way we do. And we might sound like not very environmentally conscious. They probably are. But those are some luxuries I guess I got used to. Everywhere, like, oh, AC, all over hotels, AC. I'm like, all right, their AC doesn't go below 79 degrees and it's 100 degrees outside. So I was happy to walk to feel AC when I got here. Now, again, the second one tied into two, is this country is very new. While I was in Italy, I took a tour of the Vatican. I took a tour of the Roman Forum, the Colosseum. I also took a tour of Pompeii. And it was cool. I did know, but I studied ancient astrology, so I knew how much astrology was tied in. But it was cool to actually see it in front of me, in these old buildings and these old statues and what they still believed in with astrology. And Italy, what I saw, this historical facts I saw, and again, so much astrology facts, which is awesome, are over 2,000 years old. And the Roman Empire ruled for over 1,000 years. Again, and we think we're old. We are not even close to being old or matching these countries, right? Not even close. And of course, when you're in the beginning, because really we're in the beginning of building the United States compared to the other places around the world, there is going to be great shifts. And that is what we've seen back and forth as we're fighting between good and between bad. So, all things, including this empire, there is good and bad, and both exist, and we need both to exist to evolve. We also are built on two sides. We came in sort of as a war. We came in and took over. And so, again, I think our karma here in America, and we'll see this play out with the Pluto retrograde next year, is learning to come a little bit together and finding more balance as we evolve and turn into a country that's 500 years old, 600 years old, 700 years old. I will not be here then, but, or I will probably in another body, but I won't remember this. So that was really interesting. Again, it was so cool, the Colosseum. And when I went to do the Roman Forum, there was the Temple of Saturn still there. There was the Temple of Venus, which was really beautiful. I saw that in Pompeii as well. And then the Temple of Gemini, I thought was kind of funny. They didn't call it the Temple of Mercury. That's not what they refer to. Even our tour guide, maybe some do. And I can never pronounce any of like the Roman and Greek names, but who was after, and it was after the two twins, and I'm forgetting their name. I wrote it down on my Instagram as a gift, and they called them, I think it was Zeus's two sons, I believe, the twins. And then they called it the House of Gemini. Again, there's a lot more history we can talk, but I'm not going to talk about it on this episode. So that is 1 and 2. I'm grateful we live in this country. We have a lot of freedoms. People do not. And the most important is that we have the freedom to fight back. We have the freedom to run our mouths. We have the freedom to fight back. And I think that's important. And a lot of other countries don't do that. And, to voice our opinion, even if you don't like it. And I think that's actually quite a beautiful freedom. And I was happy to come back to America and be in these, into my home. Again, I can't wait to travel. I want to travel the entire world, but it's great to have a home base. Like I said, just like all watersides, they like to go out and explore, but they need their home base. Okay, number 3, now we're done talking about, America and everything like that, is why it is important to take time. Why do we need these vacations? I'll tell you what, when I jump into vacation, I let everything else go. Like, vacation really helps me be in the moment, live in that moment, and not worry about anything else. So I get out of there's something about shaking up your routine, not doing anything, not doing any work. I did a little bit of TikTok videos, not as many as I thought, but I said, fuck it. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to be in this world right here in Italy right now in this most amazing trip. And when I got back, like I said, felt like a brand new face. I was able to rethink everything. I was able to even already think about new ways I'm going to work with my astrology, my podcast, different ways that I can be a better mother, different ways, it just opens your mind. All of a sudden, when you stop doing that routine, you stop doing that same thing over and over and over again every day, and you take an adventure, you jump into something, you come back, and it's like your brain, it's like a moving meditation, is open. It is open and flowing. And so again, sometimes we need to go away and literally to force us to live in the moment because it's hard in our day-to-day life. What else did I put? Okay. Everything felt fresh. I tried to do these notes yesterday. Like I told you, I woke up and I was just on like a writing fury, just really taking in everything that I got from there. We need to unload to recharge. We need to switch things up to recharge. So I invite you to, if you haven't taken a vacation, this is your sign to book that vacation. You need it. You need it. I posted something afterwards. The quote I found, someone posted, and it said, travel because money returns, time doesn't. And that is very true to have those memories, but also travel or take a trip, get out of your house. You have to get out of that same environment. You can go up an hour away to a cabin. You don't have to go the whole way to Italy. But getting out of your routine, letting everything go, your normal daily responsibilities, I can't tell you how much that recharges you for the better. So this is your sign. Book that vacation, book that trip, go take some time for yourself, especially if you feel burned out, and you will come back with fresh eyes. That is so important. You will come back with absolute fresh eyes. Again, I'm already thinking about ways that I've showed up. I'm a better mother, worker, daughter, creator already just from taking that break. Number 4. This is really, I've said this before, number 4, but this is a big relationship test. I went with the Capricorn moon, the guy I've been seeing for about 18 months now for the most part. And 3 months into it, we went on vacation. And we weren't really serious the first couple months, but that we got serious after first vacation. And I remember thinking to myself, this is a true test because I really couldn't vacation with people, my ex-husband a little bit, but I didn't love it. And my kid's father, I'd just be like, yeah, see ya. We didn't vacation well. And right away, him and I vacationed the same way. Now, we both have many Mercury planets, so it's very like in the moment, spontaneous, sporadic. We had a couple tours planned, and obviously, the travel agency planned where we were going, but throughout our days, other than these couple tours, we just got up and decided, hey, this is what we're going to do today, or hey, let's do that, or hey, let's do this. And he meets me on that level of we vacation the same way, we explore the life the same way, and we go about it. It's just very easy. And That is huge. If you want to know about not only, what your shortcomings or your strengths and weaknesses with friends, relationships are going to be, travel with them. It shows you so much about a person when you are traveling with them and when they are traveling. It's a real relationship test, and you can tell pretty fast how it's going to go. And I know traveling, vacation is extremely important to me. I work very, very hard every day. So when I go on vacation, I like to go big, but I also do it a very certain way and in a very relaxed way. And again, I had someone meet me on that level that I'm like, no matter what happens to me in the Capricorn moon, like if we, stay together forever, whatever, I no longer like, I live in the moment with all my relationships now. I hope him and I go on vacation for the rest of our lives together. We just do everything so similar. We have so much fun. And that's something. If vacations are important to you and you're new to relationship or friendships, find someone. The true test is how you two vacation together. And don't, like for me, like my kid's father, God bless his soul, love him, but we did not vacation the same way. So he would be like, fine, I'll stay home. I'm like, see ya, I'm gone because I want to enjoy my vacation. So that is a really true relationship test of all of our relationships, really. Friends and lovers is how do you guys vacation together? And is that the same? Is it different? Again, it doesn't have to be the same, but you'll see you'll see early on what someone's going to do that's going to annoy you, what you really love, how they act when they're not in their home environment. You're going to see a lot of people's shortcomings and their strengths and weaknesses if you travel with them. So that's a huge, if you want to get a snippet, you're in a new relationship a couple months in, plan a vacation, a weekend getaway, and see how that goes. Number 5. Gratitude. Gratitude is my number one spiritual principle. It's how I live life. It's what I think helps keep me balanced and keeping the universe flowing things to me is being grateful for what I have in this moment. So when I went away, this was the longest I was away from my kids. They went to my sister's about 2 weeks before I went to Italy, and I was in Italy for 2 weeks. So I did not see them for a month. That was the longest ever. And I missed them like crazy. My heart hurt. I missed them so much and I love them. And as soon as I got off the plane, no sleep, up for like 20 hours, I picked them up and we went right into our routine. And I broke them about 6 months ago, falling asleep in my bed. And when I picked Abram up, both my kids up, Abram first said, I said, oh, let's go home and watch a movie and cuddle. He's like, yeah, I think that I'm over cuddling. I'm a little too old. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I am, Mom. And I was really sad. And I was like, okay, I mean, that's your choice and I can't force that. But I was really sad. And I had this moment. I missed them so much. And then that night they were both like, can we sleep in your bed? And I broke that habit 6 months ago. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Especially after my older son was like, no. And they both fell asleep in my bed. Of course, I get horrible sleep when that anymore because they're both big. They're giant. They're tall. Even though they're 8 and 6, they're very tall. And I have a queen size bed. And I took a picture. I just sat there and I looked at them after they fell asleep. And I'm like, wow, I am so grateful for these moments. Even if they're inconvenient, even if it's going to take crazy, it's going to be crazy for me to break that habit of them sleeping in my bed again. One day I will never have this moment ever again. And when I'm in vacation and it makes me realize that in 1 second, something can end. 1 second, we can never see a person again, or with our children, 1 second, they're going to be out of a phase. And before I know it, they certainly will not be falling asleep in mommy's bed anymore whatsoever. And again, how fast life goes, it's going to be here before I know it. Again, Abram won't cuddle with me sitting on the couch anymore. And so it helps me stay grateful and also stop taking things for granted. Stop taking, when I was in Italy, I'm like, I'm not taking any moments of this. Who knows the next time I'll ever be back? I know I'll be back, but I'm not taking any of it for granted. I'm going to take every moment. And I took that into coming home. The Capricorn moon is very great with teaching me how to be present, be in the moment, and just enjoy what we have right now. And being able to do that in Italy, I was able to take it home with me. And so I challenge you, if you have kids or you have, something that you take for granted, a relationship, a friendship, a job, something that maybe annoys you, stop what you're doing, change your mindset and say, I'm grateful for this. This is just a phase. One day I will miss this. and stay in that moment because everything ends. Everything that has a beginning has an end. I was watching the third Matrix on the way home on the plane, and they kept saying that, and I thought that was so interesting. I wrote it down. And, there's a song I love, but it's true. Everything that has a beginning has an end. And oftentimes, until something is gone, are we finally able to see how great it was, how important it was, express gratitude for it. So don't wait until something is gone to express gratitude. Hold on, let me go here. Yeah, because we do. I wrote we take so many moments for granted in life until something isn't there anymore. I just said that. I'm looking at my notes. So for me, again, the way this came out was with my children. And when I picked Abram up too, I picked them both up at the same time, but Remy still gets so excited because he's 6. Abram ran up. I cried. He gave me this look on his face that he stopped giving me at 7, when I'd walk in the door from work. And I held on to that moment as well, that gratitude moment of like that smile, that excitement to see me, soon it's going to be, now it's like, hey mom, what's up? Looks back down. And these are the moments that we need to hold on to because everything passes, no matter whatever hard time you are going through in life, everything will pass. So those are my 5 big awareness shots. I'm sure I'll have more as I write them down and maybe I'll share them the next couple episodes, but those were it. I'm grateful for the freedoms we have here in America and the country we live and understand the polarities. No matter what, our country is never going to be perfect, but I would rather take our problems over than others. And we have this polarity. Every country has it and every soul has it, light and dark. And number 2, why it's important to take time and take a vacation and how you can just have a giant change or refresh in life. Number 4, it being a big relationship test for all of our relationships. And number 5, learning how to be grateful and not take these moments that we have every day for granted. And switch it. If you're annoyed about something, you're annoyed about your kids, you're annoyed about your work, you're annoyed about a friend, switch it. Switch it. That's you, not them, it's you and your perception. Switch it and change your mindset in that moment. Okay. A couple funny stories really quick. So Mars conjunct Uranus in Taurus, and some of it played out a few funny ways. Again, not everything is so massive. Fixed signs, you're going to feel it a little bit more. But for me, when I got home, after I got my kids home, after flying, because they're 6 hours ahead, we had a 9-hour flight. So basically, we left at 10 in the morning, Tuesday, and I arrived back in JFK at 2 in the afternoon. However, it's a 10-hour flight. So then I went all day with my kids. And my one thing inside my drawer, whatever, inside my refrigerator, it was kind of broken on the sides. And I pulled it out, and I set it like a dumb person on the side corner, and the entire thing collapsed. It's glass. I didn't realize it's glass. And I was like, okay. Again, Mars shatters. When Mars hit out of the blue with Uranus, Mars cuts, it shatters, it severs, it ends. So this is sort of a funny story. Okay, so there's a couple things, highlights of this trip. Number 1, no one makes ice. Even our coffee is 100 times better than in Italy. I'm telling you, they only make instant coffee or espresso. And I like espresso, but even that tasted different. I can't explain it, but I was over instant coffee, way over it. And then I just wanted an iced coffee. Well, I taught 3 different places how to make iced coffee. I didn't know they made it over there. And the first time when we went to Gaeta, the most amazing part of my trip, I loved it there. It's like the Italian Ocean City. All the Italians go there to vacation. Most of the people didn't speak English. It was fun. And I went and taught my first people how to make an iced coffee. He kind of looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, can I have an iced latte? And he had like this paper cut. He's and I went step by step. And Rob's there, he's sarcastic. And all of a sudden I was like, do you have oat milk? And he's like, oh my God, Jesus, Colleen, they don't have oat milk. Stop. They did it. He looked at me like I had 5 heads. They just had regular milk with it. And that was interesting. And then I taught 2 more people how to make iced coffee. So I guess I'll be going back to Gaeta, and everyone's going to be like, oh my God, the iced coffee. It's all the rage. I mean, an iced latte. I'm sorry. They're looking at me like, what? You put coffee on ice? What the heck is this? That was pretty funny. I'm sipping a good cup of coffee right now. I can tell you that. One point I'm like, is there a diner? Can I get a diner and just, get a cup, like a whole, don't they just make coffee a whole way and put it in there the way we do? They don't. The Italian food was amazing. I could have ate that every single day. I'll tell you that. It was really, really good. So that happened. I saw a wildfire in Gaeta as well. We were swimming and my first wildfire, and it's beautiful. It's on these mountains, but Italy and southern Italy hasn't gotten rain, I think, in 3 months, they said. So it was very, very dry. And the beaches were very beautiful in Gaeta. They're flat, they're sandy, they're wide open, totally different than Sorrento and Capri. And we're swimming, and I look out, and the mountains are around us, kind of like in like California when you're like Santa Barbara, and they're very dry, they're around, but the ocean's right there. In the little towns there. And I look and I'm like, there's a little smoke up on that mountain. That doesn't look like normal. That's not clouds or anything. And we went out of the water. We sat out of the water for about 2 hours. We went back in. I turned around and literally the entire mountain is on fire. And I was like, holy shit. And all the Italians are like, no worry, no worry. Rob is like, no worry. It's fine. No worry. I'm like, look, one thing I know about natural disasters is that you want to be the first one out there at the first sign of trouble. So they're like, no, it's fine. Everyone's just going about. But I'm telling you, I took pictures of this. I'll have to post some pictures. It took over the mountain and the wind was blowing away, pushing it away from us. But I'm like, 1 second, that wind, it was like reaching the top of the mountain. We saw the fire. This way, it's going to burn this whole city. So I made Rob leave the beach because we walked there. And as we were walking back, we were watching it, but it was cool. We saw the planes come down because the ocean was behind the mountain. We were staying in between the two mountains that had the waterway, I guess you could say. And the plane just came down, swooped, and put water all over everything. It took them hours to get it out. We survived. I lived. Rob was like, see, we could have stayed with the rest. I said, well, I'm doing the Irish goodbye. We're out of here. So that was kind of cool. I saw and they said they get them all the time now. There's a lot of issues with that, like everywhere, the forest fires. But I was not sticking around to play with that. But luckily, everything was okay. So we leave. We get to the airport hotel Monday night in Rome. And we flew in and out of Rome. And first of all, that's when Mars conjunct Uranus. And that night, we were feeling a little spicy, both of us. I could tell you that. Tired. It had been 2 weeks. We're at the end. And so we wake up that morning. There was all this drama, not with us, with other people. Right away, the fighting of trying to get to the airport. It was already, there's some issues there. And we got to the airport. This airport was insane. I have never seen an airport like this in my life. She said it's usually that bad, but today was extra bad, which again, Mars was conjunct Uranus. So we were flying priority, which sometimes it's a little bit easier. Had we not been flying that, we would have never made it. Even the priority check-in line was at least 45 minutes. Rob got pulled out and questioned because he's an Italian American and looks like he's in the mob, and he's from Abruzzo. He's not in the mob at all. He hates them, but he feels like that. And she was like, they did a great job. This pretty Italian girl comes up. She's like, oh, hi, can I have your passport? How are you? What are you doing? How many people work here? What are you doing? What is that? So we got pulled out again in security. They checked his hands for the bomb. We got through the security line. There was lines. I mean, it was a mass. And trying to get, then you had to go through border control to get your passport stamped and checked. There was a line out the door to get on the escalator to get to the car, the shuttle to get there. We made it just in time. We're about to board, and Rob gets a call. Now, I'll add in the call. It's security. There's something in your bag right when we're about to get on. Now, the something in his bag, this is typical Rob fashion, was this metal. This like cool sort of Jack Sparrow metal gun that I bought for my son Remington in Rome. And it's he's named after a gun. He's obsessed with them. But I'm trying to it was too heavy, it was too thick, it was a collector. It was like the handle was made of this beautiful hawk, all of these things. And then I was like, okay, you know what, that's too crazy for him anyways. I'm going to ship it back. But we never got time because I Googled it and I was like, okay, it looks like we are not allowed to have anything, even in our check bag, that resembles a real toy gun. And Rob was like, yeah, it's fine. I'm like, no, we're not. He's like, we paid, however much money for this. We're not leaving it. I'm like, look, we can leave it. I'm not taking the risk of doing it. He's like, we're not leaving it. I said, look, I'm not putting it in my suitcase. You can put it in your suitcase, but I just wanted to let you know you should be throwing this away, leaving it. It's not worth it. I can't even give it to Remy right away because he'll probably hit his brother with it. It's not nothing. It's a toy. Like you can't load it, nothing like that. And it's a replica of like 200 years ago, and it looks like a pirate gun, right? And again, at this eagle, the handle is made of eagle. It's very cool. He's like, we're not leaving it. I was like, okay. So we go through the mess of security, the mess of the Rome airport, which was nuts. Again, lots of people missed that flight. And we're ready to go in, and all of a sudden, he says, he gets a call on an Italian number. I said, you better pick that up. And it was the security. And they were like, right there, like, we need you to come with us. There's something in your bag. And he's like, okay. They said she can go onto the plane. And so as I started to go on, they pulled me aside. They checked my hair, feathered me down. And he was like, yeah, it's just a toy. They go off with him. He's like, you can look it up. They're like, no, you have to look it up. I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, I know it's a toy, but is he going to go in Italian jail? I know that Mars is conjunct Uranus in my 9th house of trips. I'm like, what is happening? And so I get on the plane. I text him. He's like, I got to wait for police to come. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to miss the flight. Our flight, literally, the doors close in 15 minutes. The flight is taking off. We got to go. He's not going to be there. And he's not answering any of my messages. And then after a little bit, he's right beside me. He's holding my hoodie. He throws it at me. I'm like, oh my God, I take a deep breath. I was praying to St. Jude, St. Anthony, everything. So his line of story, they take the security, they take him in a car, and they take him out somewhere where his suitcase is. And he's like, look, you know, it's like a gun, like Jack Sparrow. If you saw, they're like, oh, Jack Sparrow. And they're talking about a Abruzzi. They're talking about, yes, Remington. Not yet. You can use it when I'm done. I've done 2 minutes. Tell your brother he has 2 minutes. Sorry, my kids are still here. 2 minutes. I'm almost done with this episode, guys. 2 minutes. So, and then they call him and they said, you know, he's like, just take it out. Look at it. He's like, no, you have to. We got to wait till the police come. The police come and they look and he was like, oh, I'm from Abruzzi. And he doesn't speak Italian or anything. They're like, why don't you speak Italian? They're joking. And the police come and they make him open it. And then he has to step out. Then he points to it and they get it. And I guess the police who didn't speak English literally holds it, laughs, goes, ha, and then pulls it back, shoots it, because nothing's in there. You can't put anything in there. And then looks at the security guard. The security goes, Jack Sparrow. And then the police officer with the Italian accent says, Jack Sparrow. And then laughs, throws in the suitcase, and Rob made it back. And I was like freaking out. He made it. They let him take it home. And I couldn't believe, I was like, why are you chancing it? The astrology does not line up. Do not chance it whatsoever. I could not believe that happened, but he made it. He didn't end up in Italian jail. He didn't miss anything, and he made it onto the flight with sort of a funny story. He's keeping it there. My kids are not old enough yet for that as a collector item, so he's keeping that. So that was really crazy. Got home, and again, it's been a crazy going rebuild since coming back. And that was my kids. We're getting to the end of the episode because they've been silent, but now they're starting to fight over the phone or whatever because they both broke their iPads. So I know it's getting to the end, but next week, this is what we are going to be talking about. Again, we're getting back to astrology next week and the updates. So definitely be ready for next Monday, dropping the episode. So next week, we're going to talk about Venus opposite Pluto, Venus in Leo, Sun squared Uranus, Mars sextile Uranus. Next weekend, we got the Sun opposite Saturn retrograde, Mars trine Pluto, and then we're also going to be talking Jupiter retrograde, which happened about a week ago while I was in Capri, Jupiter retrograde. So we're going to be talking about that next week on the episodes in the following weeks. Again, thank you for letting me take off 2 full weeks. I feel recharged. I feel creative energy flowing through me, and I'm ready to bring you guys the messages from the stars. So stay tuned with me next week. I hope you enjoyed my awareness thoughts that I had, and I'm sure I'll have more, and maybe I'll share a couple of them as they come to me on next week's episode. But I promise you, we will be getting back to astrology, back to the weekly awakenings next week. But I hope that you took these 5 awakenings and maybe can do something with that information, even if it's just to not take time for granted. That's the biggest one. Don't take time for granted, because it is definitely not on our side. Not always. It's on our side sometimes, but before you know it, it's not. I love you guys. Follow me on social media, Cosmic Colleen. I hope everyone has a fabulous week this week and a great weekend. I'm back to the salon this evening and then back to craziness. So, again, next week, check me out, The Weekly Awakening, and we will get back to it. I love you guys and have a fabulous week.